No doubt it was kind of a jerk move. And in this podcast, I'm putting out an apology for it. But first, allow me to mount my defense. Now, if you've been following my podcast, if you've been checking out my blog, my gaming personality is one of taking risks. I want to make some interesting stuff happen on the table. And this influence here is seen in my list building and the way I build lists for various gaming systems, 40K, X-Wing Miniatures, Battletech, Chain of Command. I try to build a solid list, solid tactics, but then I include a wild card, an obscure unit, a special character, a totally custom mech. I'm running the Urban Mech with the AC-20 just to see what we can do, right? And try to push that out. Yes, I'm trying to win the mission, but try to push that out and just see what can happen in the game. Let's just see what we can do. Maybe something memorable. I'll roll those dice. I'll take those risks. Now, this is at extreme odds, and there's a lot of great ways to explore war games. This is at extreme odds for those players out there who are math hammer players, theory hammer players. They look at the mathematical probabilities, and they figure out, okay, in a finite game of probabilities, and I only have X number of turns and X number of resources, that tactic or that shot on the table is not the best one to take. So maybe we want to move on and stack our dice elsewhere and utilize our dice elsewhere. Where I'm like, wait, a 0.0002% or something obscure chance of making it happen? Never tell me the odds. Let's go for it. Example number one, to mount my defense. Years ago, Battle for Salvation Gaming Club, we used to run some really, really big apocalypse mega games. I'm talking about putting together 3 or 4 or 5 long, 2 or 3 deep gaming tables and coming up with a theme. Usually it was like good versus bad. Tyranids are kind of in the middle because they're not good or bad on there. We just put them kind of where they're needed. Tyranid swarm rampaging on the table and go head to head. And it was always a lot of fun because not only do we have a ton of painted miniatures, but it was the ability for 10, 15, 20, 25, 28 players to bring 2 or 3 different armies and literally just throw stuff down. Sounds like Games Workshop, right? Zero balance, points, who the heck even knows? It was like, you've got the models, they're painted, find a place on the table really fast to put them down. And we would never finish these games, but it was a great chance to participate in amazing things. I guess I owe an apology to this person also, now that I'm thinking about it. But maybe not. So one of the players on the other team, I was playing the Imperium on the Imperium side. I was playing my Grey Knights, and I was given command. My memory's a little shaky here. I was given command of, it wasn't a Bane Blade. Was it the Sword Bane or the Sword Blade? The Forge World massive tank that has some really crazy... It's like a Bane Blade with one gun. How is that possible? Well, I guess it had a heavy bolter also in the front for some reason, but essentially everything was on this plasma cannon destructor, insane long range. We took it off a Titan and put it on there. It's pretty obscure tech, and I was happy to really play the model because I'd never played this before. But it's parked, when we deployed it, we didn't want to put it at the front of the table, the deployment zone. It was long because if we do that, then it can't move and shoot. It's just kind of stuck there, and it's going to block all the stuff in the back. Worse, if it blows up and it's an apocalyptic explosion, it'll take out like 15, 20,000 points real time in one turn. And you know how those apocalyptic explosions go. So we toss it in the back, and it has range. So I'm in command. And we're playing the game, turn 1, turn 2, and doing stuff. And all the way, so I'm like on imagine 6 tables long. I'm on the left side. All the way on the right side is a Necron. It's one of the Forge World Tesseract vaults before the current vault. I mean, it was really like crazy with what it could do, crazy points, and just insane. And it's slowly moving forward, but it's all the way in the back. So I got to take that shot. I got to do it. You can't put something out there. So we measure it out, and it's literally like 4 tape measures. We had to join tape measure to tape measure to tape measure and put it out there. I was just in range by like by like 2 inches. You know, it wasn't close and dice it off or 50-50. No, I was in range, but I was 2 inches over on range. I was just barely there. So something like, you know, hit on a 3-up. We had some sort of machine blessing on there, so it was twin linked. I get the reroll. Okay. It's going to scatter with the apocalyptic template, but that thing is so massive. The target is so massive, it doesn't even really matter as long as it's dead on there. And I shoot. Now you needed, it was something like this, because again, it's going back a couple of years, and all these 40K games are kind of crushed into my mind. It's like you had to hit, then you had to roll a 6 for armor pen. Then they got some sort of negation roll. It wasn't void shields, but it was something Necrons had that they could negate on a 2-up. And then you had to roll like a 6 for damage, and then another 6 for it to go into the apocalyptic chart, and a 6 to blow up. It was like a chain of, no joke, 3 6s. And that's assuming I hit with the reroll, which I was. I was confident of that. And that assumes that my opponent was going to fail their 2-up invulnerable save on there. A lot of what ifs, even for Games Workshop. But you can't, and Dan, my math hammer, my theory hammer friend, he's like, Fritz, we're only going to get like 3 turns of shooting this thing, either before the game runs out and or before it gets blown up and taken out. Like, drop some stuff on those cultists coming towards us. Drop some stuff on those Chaos Marines. We can wipe out 5,000-6,000 points. Do it. He's like, you're the worst Baneblade commander. You're just awful. And I'm like, you can't put a target like that, Necron Tech. You can't do that and not expect me to take the shot. If there was a Titan on the table, I would take that shot on there. I take the shot. I hit. I roll a 6 for the armor pen. Okay, so we're in there. Now he's got a block. He rolls it. It goes on the floor. Doesn't count. Doesn't count. That's legit, right? That's legit. The die goes on the floor. Doesn't count. Die has to be flat on the table. It's cool. It's legit. And I do that for myself too, because I've missed a lot of shots where I was going to hit. It fell on the floor. I re-roll. I miss, including some like major shots with my side cannons over time. So the die rolls on the floor. He picks it back up. He rolls it. He gets a 1. Okay, we're in here now. So maybe it's going to be stunned. Maybe something's going to happen. Maybe it's going to take some hull points. Something's going to happen. I roll that 6. Now we're on the apocalyptic chart. So we flip through the Apocalypse book, volume 3, with this formation and this detachment and this Forge World sheet. And we find like the custom damage table on there. I need that 6. 1 and 6. I need that 6. I roll that 6. The thing goes Nova. It clears out like the whole back of the table. Tactically, it changed to nothing really, because a lot of the other models behind there were never going to really get into the game. But the person had a rage. The person did not take that very well. I won't say I had to leave the room, but you know, it was interesting. Let's just say the least. And I'm like, you can't put like something that in front of me and not do it. So apologies, but that's not the focus of this podcast. This is the apology for this, and where this was really kind of a jerk move. And looking back, I should have handled this a little bit differently. But that's just to give you some insight. That's my defense that I'm mounting, because you can't put the chance for some awesome boom boom on the table and not expect me to take it, not expect me to go for it. It's just the player personality on there. So my friend, he had just bought a new unit. This awesome unit, this awesome kit, and for the next battle, he put it together, he painted it meticulously, looked fantastic. It was not a Predator tank, and he puts it down on the table. First time I've ever seen this. Some obscure tech here, some obscure Mechanicus tech, and I'm going to take that shot. It's the opening shot of the game. I have turn 1. I have range. You know, it was something crazy like you got to hit, and it's got cover, and then you got to roll a 6, and then you got to roll another 6, and then another 6. It was pretty obscure. So the chances of taking it out were next to nothing. And really, I only had maybe 2 units that could penetrate its armor to make it happen. And those 2 units were obviously going to be targeted next turn on there. So first turn essence was key, was valuable, was vital. I take the shot. I hit. I beat the cover. I rolled a 6. I rolled another 6. It gets taken out. And my buddy was a little bit deflated on it. So at first I was like, well, I had to go for it. I mean, it was so obscure. It was like 4% chance, 6% chance on a D6, 6% chance on a D6, that it was even going to happen with all the gates I had to roll through for it. But I needed to go for that, not so much tactically, because tactically that was the wrong decision. Tactically would have been to focus on stuff I can easily blow up and just ignore it. It's one unit on there. But you can't put something like that in front of me and not expect me to take it. And it happened. It worked. Numerous other times it obviously wouldn't have, and it hasn't in other games. But my friend was a little bit deflated on it. Apologies. Here's why this was the wrong move. I always try to play a fun game. I won't say I'm overly competitive unless I'm in a tournament, but if it's pickup games or weekly games at the club, I'm not competitive. Let's make some fun happen. Let's see what we can do. But he did spend a lot of time getting this unit ready for the week. It was a brand new unit. It was quite powerful. It had a lot of interesting stuff. Looking back, I should have let it beat on me for a turn or two. Let my friend have some fun with his new unit that he paid the price for, not only literally, but getting it perfectly painted for next week's battle. And what was it going to kill at the most? 3 or 4 or 5 units. Yeah, I was going to blow them up and be crazy. Let him have some fun. And a learning experience for me, tactical real-time intelligence. I'm not just going to sit there and take it. But real-time intelligence would be like, this is a unit I've never seen before. Let's rock and roll for a couple of turns. Let's see what it can do on there. Let's have it blow up some stuff on my side and see tactically what it's capable of. You know, that Fritz knowledge bank, that would have been good to know. Now the actual performance on the table was theory until, we played it in other games on there. But that was kind of a jerk move on my part. Even though the probability was so low, I should have let that unit beat on us for a few turns. That's my apology. That's my defense. That's a takeaway lesson that I try to keep mindful of it. Your thoughts on that? Your friend who you love dearly puts down a new unit. Are you just ruthless? Do you just wipe it off the table? Especially if you have to. It's powerful. You've not been given any choice or chance. Second to that, are you a theory hammer player, math hammer player? In which case you would never shoot at the unit anyway, and you would have never shot at that Necron super vaulty thing on there back when the Star Gods were actually Star Gods and the Satan ruled everything. They actually won the war in heaven on there. But from that perspective, I've always thought that the true Star Gods, the Satan, won the war in heaven, put all the lesser races into the Necron machinery on there, and now the entire Imperium is a dream world. And chaos is actually legitimate because the chaos are the dreams trying to escape from the Necron machines on there. What do you think of that spin, that heresy on there? Your thoughts on such situations?